Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the Keep Birth Sacred podcast, where we honor the sacredness of the motherhood journey. In this space, we're changing the way women transition into motherhood, one sacred moment at a time. This is a place of advocacy, community, education, and healing. Here, we believe that birth and everything that surrounds it is sacred. Sit back, relax, and join us as we journey together. This is your sacred space to learn, to heal, and to connect. We are so glad you're here. And remember, every mother and every child deserves a sacred beginning. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Keep Birth Sacred podcast. Today I have Mr. Jeff Davis in the house. What's up, Jeff?
Not much. I'm happy to be back for this is the third time, I think.
Yes, yes. And new project,
Yes.
but same kind of vibe.
Yes.
And you always bring an incredible amount of value.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to what you have to share today.
Me too. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to talk about pregnancy and talking about what, the things that you should really focus on. And I'll give you guys a little background about myself after this, but we're gonna talk about pregnancy and your postpartum fitness, like the important things to truly focus on. I believe that this day and age, there's a lot of information on the internet on how to, lose weight, how to get strong, how to do this and make this a lifestyle. And so today I'm just going to share 5 things that you can do forever, not just quickly just to get some results, but you can do forever and keep your results.
I love that. And before we start, I want to read, you have been refining, since you and I first met, you've been refining your niche and your mission, and I love what you have in your Instagram right now. It says, helping parents find purpose, live a healthy, fit life, and not stressing about the things that don't matter. And I'm like, yes, this is going to be a great conversation. So to keep it succinct and on point, do you just want to, you've got 5 things. Let's just get into that first one.
Absolutely. So the one thing that I want all of you to focus on is prioritize strength over the scale. Okay?
Strength over the scale.
Yep. Prioritize strength over the scale. Because here's the thing. The scale's always going to move. Weight loss is not linear. And a lot of people forget that. They think like, oh, the scale should go down every single week. I'm going to tell you it's not going to. There's so many things that affect your scale weight. It could be you're bloated. It could be you haven't taken a shit in a couple of days. It could be you've eaten more fiber. You haven't eaten enough fiber. It could be your stress. It could be you just lifted weights. There's a lot of different things, and a lot of people forget about this and then they're consistent. They're consistent with their movement. They're consistent with their strength training. They're consistent with their either tracking their macros or just being healthier eating. And then they get on the scale after a week and they're like, why the isn't the scale down? It's like, just chill out, sis. Like, it's all good. So my first point on this is that muscle is your best friend. Okay. Strength training during pregnancy and postpartum improves a lot of things. Posture, it reduces back pain, and it also supports recovery. So if you're not strength training right now, you should start. Okay. I don't know where to start. Go to YouTube. What equipment do you have at home? Do you have dumbbells? Do you have bands? Do you have a Bowflex? Do you have a tonal? Like, there's a lot of, you can go on YouTube and look up a push day, a pull day, and a leg day. You could do 3 days a week and just start prioritizing getting stronger. But in order for you to do that, you have to track your shit. So download the app Strong. It's a free app, and you can literally take these YouTube workouts, put them in the Strong app, and start just recording them, the weights that you're doing. Because if you want to keep body fat off of you for year round, and you want to increase your metabolism, muscle is going to do that for you. And if you're doing only classes and doing some running or jogging, that is not going to fucking cut it. It's not. Can you build muscle in classes? Yes, but you can't build muscle like you can doing resistance training. So that's the first point. Muscle is your best friend. The second point is scale fluctuations are normal. They're normal. hormonal changes, water retention, postpartum healing can affect your weight. So I encourage all moms to focus on how they feel rather than that actual number. A lot of us have put all of our worth and our value into a number that we see on something digital, and it's not necessary. That is a tool. It is a piece of data to see, hey, how did I do this? But the thing is that you might have done well. And if you did do well, look back at where you track these things. Now, if you didn't track these things, you might think like, well, I don't even know if I did well. I feel I did well, but I don't know because I can't see it. Well, then track it. Track your workouts in Strong, which is the app. It's free. Download MyFitnessPal and track your food. You know, if you really want to start tracking your habits, open a notes section in your phone and just make a one day and repeat it for 7 days. And you know, they have like little check boxes. You can put little check boxes. Then you can review back, be like, hey, I crushed my morning routine. I crushed my walking and workouts, and I crushed my macros. Perfect. I got that in for my health. Perfect. You know? So don't worry about the number on the scale. Do we want to eventually see that? Yes. But ladies, you have to think about this journey is like hiking up Everest. Okay. I know you want to get to the summit, but when you get to the summit and you go back down, you're going to want to go hiking again. You're going to want to go to another summit. I feel like life and your weight loss journey is full of false summits because you're never going to be truly happy with a certain number on the scale. This is why you have to enjoy the journey up Everest. You have to enjoy the journey of going to base camp 1 and going to 2 and then coming back down, because that's where you spend the most time. You spend the most time working out, tracking your macros, and you spend the most time in your morning routine. You don't spend a lot of time just sitting on the scale and watching it. You know what I mean? It's like when we buy a house or get a car. How excited are you at first? You're really excited. You're like, holy shit, this is awesome. I got a new house or a new boyfriend, you're excited for that moment, but then those feelings will fade away. And then you're back in the grind. Okay, I got to do all the same house shit that I did at my last house. It's just a car. I just got to go from point A to point B. It's the same exact thing. This is why we have to enjoy the journey, all along the way. All right. Third point, and the last point on this, and then we can talk a little bit about this.
Yeah.
Functional strength matters.
Okay.
Lifting a baby, carrying a car seat, chasing your toddler, those require strength. Train for real life movements, not just aesthetics. I know you want the body. I know you want to look in the mirror and be like, wow, I really like what I see. I know we want to get to that point. Okay? That isn't going to happen real quick. So do compound movements that are going to work several muscle groups. Are isolation movements okay? Yes, they are. But honestly, I think if you do those, do like 1 to 2 within your workout, but all the other movements, do compound workouts. Do stuff that's, pull shit, push shit, and do your legs. Do rows, do pull-ups, do squats, do any kind of shoulder presses, chest presses, do flies, do push-ups, do body weight squats. Do some deadlifts, do all these. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to do circus tricks. You don't need to get on Bosu balls. You don't need to balance on TRX bands. Like, you just don't need to do that because you're not doing that with your kids, So train for these things so that, you can hold your toddler above your head and play with them. And, obviously as parents, we like to, throw them up a little bit so that, twirl them and stuff. I do that all the time with my daughter. I'm not a mom, but I'm a dad. We do those things, but we want to be able to, you're going to be bending over, picking your child up out of the kiddie tree because she's got her head halfway and they're laying on the cat. You're going to be doing that a lot. Train for that kind of stuff and mobility. Practice mobility. So those are my 3 points that on prioritizing strength over the scale. I think that's very, very important instead of just focusing on a stupid number.
Yeah. Thanks for opening with that. And, if you guys don't know Jeff, you're probably like, whoa, like what is going on here? And just to put it in perspective, we're recording, it's like noon here and it's like 9 a.m. there. You've probably been up since what time did you wake up this morning?
Honestly, today was a little later. It was 6 a.m. today because it's been...
You're slacking, Jeff.
I know. It's normally like 3:30 or 4:30, but it's just been a long couple days. These last couple days I've had a lot of work to do, and I stayed up till about Probably 11 o'clock last night, so it was a later night working.
Well, and it's a perfect example of like honoring your body and your day and
Yeah.
knowing what you need and,
Yes.
doing whatever. But I mean, you definitely shared a lot of information there. And for somebody who's like, I'm thinking of myself a handful of years ago when I'm like tracking what and what's a push day and a dumbbell and a barbell and a strength training, like what is all of this stuff? And here's what I want to say from that. I totally appreciate that, the focus of, and I don't even want to say feeling, because sometimes our feelings get in the way. We don't always feel like we want to do something, so there's that. But what helps me, and especially thinking back to being a new mom, I used to bake a lot and cook a lot, and I would do that because I had this like sense of satisfaction being able to measure everything. It was just like I felt like my life was so chaotic, my hormones were so chaotic. I never knew what was happening and when the baby, whatever. But it was like this peaceful thing to be able to be like, okay, this is like half a cup of this, and and I'm going to bake it for this amount of time. And so I guess what I'm saying is, during this time of your life, you're already going through this major transformation, especially becoming a parent for the first time. If there are things that you can control, try to control them. And on top of all the benefits you just mentioned of doing all of these things, it is so nice to have structure and to have some sort of plan around the things that are like forever important, meaning your food and the way that you're moving. Just being really vulnerable. I'm on like day 4 with you again, working with you again. And after the first day, I was like, oh my gosh, just like
Yeah.
my
Holy
life.
crap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
my life's gonna implode.
I'm just like, I feel like I'm like back. I'm like, the sun is brighter. I'm like,
It feels like that, yes.
it's just like everything is better because for me, just mentally, I have to be focused.
Yes.
And again, parenting is just like you cannot predict this. You cannot predict really anything. So if you can plan for your food and your movement and even what you're saying, the functional piece of pushing your children on a merry-go-round at the playground and being able to be the parent who is like running around this thing multiple times, you know what I mean? Pushing them on the swings, going for walks, just whatever you're doing, having that being your focus versus like, man, because this is something I hear all the time and like, it is what it is, but I want to get back to my pre-baby weight. And I don't hate on anybody who has that goal, but I'm telling you what, and we may have talked about this in a previous episode, but although I do way more now, I am so much healthier. I mean, before my kids, the amount of alcohol I was consuming, I used to be a smoker. Like I was eating garbage, just like garbage. I wasn't like strength training, so there was no, you know what I mean? So it's just, it's your definition of health and strength and prioritizing those things that matter to you. So it's like, not just focusing. I've been saying this for years, your baby needs who you are on the other side of your birth, and you have to give yourself a lot of grace in those moments and not be focusing on the wrong things. So
100%. And I like that you brought up stop trying to get back to your baby weight. That's going to be the 5th point that we're talking about. It's stop trying to bounce back. Instead, build a new, stronger you. So we'll talk about that.
I love that. So what's number 2?
Yeah. So number 2, very important. You can probably imagine what it is. It's focus on nutrient dense foods. Don't focus on dieting. Okay. And my number one point with this is like, you have to focus. Protein is key. Protein is key. Why is protein key? Well, it supports recovery. Okay. It's going to help with your milk supply and helps with muscle retention, meaning it keeps the muscle that you currently have. If anyone is not tracking protein and you're under eating protein, you can say bye to your muscle and you can welcome in body fat. If that's what you want to do, if you want to open the door for body fat, keep not tracking your protein and keep not eating enough protein. By all means, do it. Now, if you don't want to do that, start tracking it and let's start eating enough of it every single day. You should aim for at least a minimum every day, 100 grams minimum every single day, or at least 30 to 35 grams per meal. Get it from sources from eggs, Greek yogurt, lean meats, that, if you need to use like a whey protein isolate, I would do that, and I would just get a whey isolate. I think it's the best kind of whey protein that you can get. There's a lot of other whey proteins, but don't overcomplicate it. Just get a whey protein isolate. That's a very, very important thing. And when it comes to protein, people just don't eat enough of it. And they think that they are. You're probably not. And every time you do not do this, your body is going to go for your muscle. When you're not eating enough of it, it's going to go for muscle, for energy. And because most of the time, most people don't eat enough throughout the day because you're so busy, and then you have maybe a little tiny snack, you have another snack later, and then at night, baby's down, husband's doing his thing or boyfriend's doing his thing, or maybe you're a single mom, doesn't matter, and then you just go ham in the cupboard. And it's really, really hard on your body, when you're not eating enough protein. So make sure you're focusing on your protein. Okay. Number 2, hydration is underrated. Okay. Water helps with milk supply. Okay, water helps with digestion. It also helps with energy. If you need reminders, set reminders to drink water throughout the day. When you wake up, you should be downing at least a minimum of 16 to 20 ounces of water. Like at least, just hydrate yourself. Okay, I'm not gonna get too far on that topic because it's like a no-brainer. Just like make sure you're hydrated and make sure you're putting some electrolytes in there. You have to understand that you are losing minerals when you are breastfeeding. If you are breastfeeding, if you're not, you're still losing minerals when you sleep. By peeing, by digesting, by sweat, you sweat in bed, make sure that you put some form of electrolytes inside of your water in the morning and replenish your body. Your body feels really good when you replenish the minerals and hydrate it. Third point, smart snacking. Okay, not start snacking, smart snacking.
Did you say start snacking?
Oh no,
I got some snacks right under here.
Smart snacking. Okay, so have some grab and go options like some protein shakes. Okay, have some good protein bars that have at least 20 grams of protein that aren't trash. This is nothing paid here, but just a little plug. I do Built Bars. Built Bars are really good. They only have like 6 to 7 ingredients in them. They're 17 grams of protein. They're low carb, low fat. You can have that, have some fruit with it. You could have some, a string cheese if you really wanted to, but you want to have some good snacks that are protein forward and have some carbohydrates and a little fats to avoid skipping meals or reaching for processed snacks later. If you skip eating, your body is going to crave junk. Because why? Because your blood sugar is going to be down. So if your blood sugar's down, all you do is crave shit. And you're gonna be like, oh my God, my energy's down, blood sugar's down. And you're not thinking my blood sugar's down. You're just like, I'm just grabbing the easiest thing just to put it in my mouth to satisfy me in that moment. And probably your kid just got done screaming, or you just got done changing a shitty diaper, or your kid knocked over a glass of water, a cup of coffee on the couch. Like there's a lot of things that are going on. So protein is key, hydration is underrated, and smart snacking.
Yeah. Start snacking, ladies.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Start snacking in a healthy way.
Well, another point that I want to make, and this is like a mom thing. If you can't do it for yourself, and especially if you're hearing this when you're pregnant or before you get pregnant, if you can't do it for yourself, realize that having an adequate amount of protein and water is critical to your baby's development. So, okay, maybe you wouldn't normally track your protein, but I mean, it helps your baby develop properly. Your baby needs, and I don't know the numbers, right? But it's like, we need to ensure that we're hitting those, what did you say? Like 100 grams?
100 grams minimum.
Like minimum
a
day, and I'm with you on that. As I've tracked more, it's real easy to think that you are getting what you need, but you're not. And the way that food is marketed and the way that packaging is marketed, you could think that you're getting this like really great product, and maybe it does. There are some brands out there, I'm not going to mention any, that maybe the protein is high, but you now have all of these ridiculous food colorings and synthetic things in them. So it's like, yeah, you're getting some protein, but you're also getting like a bunch of garbage. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
you're getting a book of ingredients that that most of them can't even pronounce.
Right.
So look at the labels when you are eating stuff, and if there's a book, like a chapter of a book on the back of that, maybe we should choose a different option.
Right.
And
Yeah,
do I eat some processed stuff? Absolutely.
sure,
But I'm
exactly.
very aware of what I'm putting in my body. You have to understand that all those ingredients, if you can't understand them, just remember that your body has to digest that, whatever it.
Yeah. So I mean, that was big for me. I remember when my midwives were telling me like, "Becca,
Mhm.
you need to be getting this protein." And then even in the evenings, I was having a little bit of morning sickness with
Mhm.
my son, my first, and my midwife was like, "Hey, have some high protein yogurt before bed and
Mhm.
see if that helps." And that was literally all that I needed. I know some women, it's more extensive or whatever, but sometimes it's just, "Hey, McFly, are you eating food today? No? Well, no wonder you feel like you're going to
Like,
pass out. You want to
yeah.
punch somebody in the face. Like you're over caffeinated
Mhm.
and it's like you haven't had a decent night's sleep. Like what do you expect?" So
Exactly.
yeah, love that.
And
Protein,
I
water.
just want to say one thing last on this is like I just want to remind all of you is that your energy is going to come from food. Okay?
Mhm.
It is not coffee. It is not an Alani drink. Okay? Your energy is going to come from food. Food
Mhm.
is equals energy. So
Mhm.
don't be afraid to eat. Okay? Your body needs it, and so
Mhm.
does your baby. Your
Mhm.
baby needs energy. And the less that you eat, the less that you're neglecting your health, and the less that you're neglecting how much food you're giving to your daughter or your
Mhm.
son.
Let's take a little before we go to number 3,
Mhm.
because I want you to maybe incorporate this in the last couple or the last 3 for because you're a dad, and because you've recently gone through this,
Yes.
what
Mhm.
are some things that as a dad and as a husband that
Mhm.
you wish, like what do women need to ask for and what do men need to be doing to support each other during this process?
That's great. So I think that women need to ask, need to go to, if they have a spouse or, boyfriend, girlfriend, is they need to just remind them in a calm manner. Okay. Don't wait 4 months and be like, raging and being like, I need some alone time. What the because that will not come off very well. Okay. Have this conversation ahead of time, in a very comfortable setting and
Mhm.
just remind that person how important your mental and physical health is so that you can show up to be the best version of yourself, for them, and then your child.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes, I say them before your child because
Mhm.
your relationship is, I mean, besides the relationship that you might have with God,
Mhm.
you guys are the foundation of your household.
Mhm.
And that baby is consuming all of your energy. And if you
Mhm.
are waiting and you're not putting your mental and physical health first, well, I'm going to tell you that you're going to feel like an empty water bottle every single day by
Mhm.
9 a.m.
Mhm.
Okay. So have the conversation, sit down with them and just say, hey, I would just ask for an hour,
Mhm.
ask for an hour. And that other person should be getting up in the morning. And, one thing that I do, I'm just going to share what I do in the morning. Most mornings, I'm getting my daughter up at 7. I'm, feeding her. And then I am grabbing my wife a cup of coffee for the most part. Does it happen every single morning? No, but it happens more times than not. So that my wife can, go do her thing and she can go get ready and she can just spend a little time with her. She does a little journaling, she does a little praying in the morning. And
Mhm.
that is, even if you're spending 30 to 60 minutes with yourself, means so much.
Mhm.
That will fill your cup up. And the
Mhm.
other thing that's really, really important is if you're going to get a gym membership, and I would recommend doing it because working out at home is literally, it's going to be very, very difficult. Can
Mhm.
you do it? Yes, you can do it while baby's napping. But if you do get a gym membership, find a place with a little daycare. We pay $20 extra per month,
Mhm.
and like we could bring her in there. I
Mhm.
think right up. I think when she's like a month old, even. I
Mhm.
think I don't remember the exact age in but the thing is, you can do that,
Mhm.
and that's very important. I'm going to tell you, you are going to be a better human if you're
Mhm.
prioritizing your mental and physical health.
Mhm.
But have this conversation early, okay? There's going to be things that come up. There's going
Mhm.
to be calm in the whole situation and just
Mhm.
have that really honest conversation. And if you feel like you're lacking and you need something more, okay, then tell your person,
Mhm.
or if maybe you're single, maybe you don't have someone,
Mhm.
talk to someone, your parents, talk to a friend, and just say, hey, I really need some time for myself. Could you maybe watch my son or my daughter for an hour? Would that be okay? I guarantee you they're not going to say no. And if they say no, I don't know, I would rethink your friendship with them. I don't know. Because if anyone truly close to you cares about your mental and physical health, they will help you out. They truly will. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It
Kind of
did.
went off.
Because I just want to point out that, like, it's tough for both parties to go
Yes.
through, and you do really need each other. And if these
Yes.
conversations aren't had in
Mm.
a preventative way, then it often does not end well, but you both have to have the humility and the empathy to be able to really like lean in those moments and
Yes.
be able to like, maybe even like sacrifice here and there, and
Yes.
compromise here and there a little bit so that each person is getting, what they need. But I know women have a hard time speaking up, generally speaking. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, I do feel like the men often are like, I'm happy to help you if I only knew.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Just tell us.
yeah, 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 100%. It's you got to have a conversation. It's a lot of people will wait and they just think that, well, you should know. No, the thing is, we're dumb. We're just like we're really smart, but we're dumb. And we're out, we're supporting the family, and my wife has to tell me some basic ass shit sometimes. It's like, hey, just a reminder. I'm like, yeah, we actually. I don't mean to go so long on this topic, but we're actually. Her parents are leaving this next week. Okay, they winter down here in Arizona, and my wife's stressed about it because she's like, what are we going to do about Ariana for my nail appointments, for my appointments, for this? And because last year was a little harder on us, like she would want me to watch her, a lot. And I'm like, I can't, I have to, I have work I have to do or I have calls. So we talked about it this Sunday. This week, we're going to have a conversation of what a schedule is going to look like. Hey, she's going to have a day where she does all of her stuff. And I'm just going to spend with Ariana so that she can go do that, and I'm just going to schedule I'm going to have that specific day blocked off. I'm not going to take any calls. I'm still going to do some work, while my daughter's playing or whatever. But I have the beautiful availability to do so because I work from home. But that's a conversation, and that's something that my wife's having anxiety about. She's like, I'm worried. We actually got into a little tiff about it. She's like, oh, this is, I don't want this to happen again. And I'm like, well, it's not. She's like, well, it did. And, we kind of like went back and forth and had some banter in between it. But we figured it out, and we're like, hey, we'll just talk about it. So it's an anxiety that she's going through right now, that because she doesn't want it to happen again, because she wants to take care of herself.
Right.
And
That's right.
you women should too. Go get your nails done, go get a pedicure, like go get a massage. Talk about these things. They're important. I know, and I don't know what it's like, but I've had to spend some time with my daughter for like 4 days alone, and that was a lot. It feels like you're almost in a prison because you're just made to. You're just taking care of your child. You don't have a ton of time to do a bunch of things for yourself. And then when you do, you're just like, oh, I just want for a second, So you got to speak up.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right. Well, let's go on to what's number 3?
Yeah, number 3. Okay, short, effective workouts for strength, not fat loss. Okay, you can't lose fat exercising. Okay, you can burn calories, but you can't lose fat. The only way you can lose fat is through a calorie deficit. Okay, so short, effective workouts for strength. So think about first point, consistency over intensity. Okay, 10 to 15 minutes of movement is better than nothing. Small wins add up. Okay, you going for a small 10-minute walk means a lot. You doing some body weight squats is something. You doing some modified push-ups is something. You grabbing your bands and just doing some bicep curls, some shoulder presses, some lateral raises, maybe some rows or something in the door. That is something. And don't think that I can't get in a 60-minute workout, so this is not going to work, or I'm not going to. No, those things do add up. If you did a 15-minute workout, let's just do the math. If you did a 15-minute strength workout 6 days a week, that's 90 minutes of exercise. That's actually really, really good. And then you can reflect, hey, why was I only able to get 90 or 15 minutes of workouts in? I'm just going to plan a little bit better. So consistency over intensity. Second point, I talked about this. Compound movements are the game changer. Okay, squats, deadlifts, push-ups. These are multiple muscle group workouts. Okay, so you're maximizing efficiency. So do more compound movements than isolation movements. Third thing, workouts should fit your life, not the other way around. Okay? Sneak in movement with stroller walks, baby wearing workouts, like they have stuff. You can hold your baby, you can do squats. It'll actually be fun for them. You could pick your baby up 10 times if you wanted to. Like, I just had a video the other day where I did push-ups with my baby on my back, and she was laughing, she was having a blast. Like quick circuits during nap time. You can do these things. These things do matter. They're going to give you a little burst of energy because your heart rate's going to be elevated, and they're just going to make you feel good. There's nothing worse than going to bed at the end of the day knowing that you served your child all day long, which is a great feeling. It's a great feeling. But when you served your child or your husband or your boyfriend or other people,
everybody else, but you.
Everybody else, but you didn't fucking serve yourself for at least 10 minutes. There's nothing more defeating than going to bed feeling like that. And then you do that for a week, and then you do it for a month, and then a quarter's gone, and then half a year's gone, and you look at yourself and you're like, shit, you have to hide in your clothes consistently because you just feel like crap. You're snacking at night when people are asleep because that's the only thing that's making you feel better, because you're not journaling, you're not praying, you're not meditating, you're not working out, you're not walking. So that's the only thing that is making you feel better. So just these three things, when it comes to your workouts, are key. Consistency over intensity, compound movements are the game changer, and workouts that fit your life, not the other way around.
And I mean, being in a situation where you have people who, and maybe you have to give them permission almost, but like you're so self-aware that you have these people in your life who will call you out or who will come alongside you and help you. And I mean, for me, when my children were younger and their dad and I were still together, this was something that we just didn't see eye to eye on. I mean, I distinctly remember wanting to be able to have this time, and I just was not supported in that. I guess that's like the best way to say it without making it sound bad, but
I get that.
But yeah, it's just like, you have to be able to make time for that without resenting the other person or being, I don't know if it's like a jealousy or like, well, I don't have time to do that, so why should you do that? Or if you're in a situation where, you're at home with the kids and, your partner is working all day, respecting each other. It's really comes down to respecting that you both had an equally intense, you both need to be able to burn off that energy, have alone time, that it's not taking away from you if you're allowing your partner to pour into themselves. You know what I mean? But it does start with that asking for, getting clear about what you need, asking for it, having that support. Because a lot of this stuff, ladies listening who have been through this, can be alarmingly exacerbated by hormones. Everything is just like your roller coaster of life that's like this goes like, you're all over the map through those pregnancy and breastfeeding hormones, and anyone who's near you is going to be on a wild ride, like that's for sure. But everything that we're talking about here will help to balance that. It's just actually doing it, and I know that's the hard part. That's the hard part, especially if you're with your kids all day.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing. This should honestly, all of this should be non-negotiable for you. You should not ask, you don't need to ask for permission. And if your spouse is not, if they're like, no, this can't happen. I mean, I'm not trying to be a negative one here, but if your spouse is like not supportive of that, I don't know, I'd maybe rethink some things. Not that you don't want a marriage or relationship to work, but your spouse should respect your goals. You have to understand that, I say this, women are the engine in a house. They are the engine. And when my wife's energy is good, I'm good. If her energy is not, and her, just like in a car when the lights go on, like, hey, we need something, that's not good.
That's hysterical. Oh my gosh. It's what lights does Becca have on today?
So her tires are aired up, the oil's filled up, she's got washer fluid, etc. So when she works out, when she does things for herself, like she's good. And that, because when you have an angry woman in the house, or like a woman that's not fulfilled, just It's just everything is off.
Yeah.
It truly is, because then, I end up I'm like, hey, what's wrong? And I know you women, you're like, you guys you're stubborn. I get it. You don't always want to say what's wrong, because you're just like, he's not going to listen anyways. What's the point? Why even waste my breath? He's not going to listen. Well, I want to go work out because I feel like my fucking ass is getting flabby, and my tits are sagging. Like, I feel, my wife tells me these things. She's in great shape right now. Her boobs they're in a place where she's like, she was breastfeeding, they were monsters, and now they're in a place where she's just not a huge fan of them. So regardless of how good she feels and the things that she's doing, like, there's some insecurities that happen within women, which I understand what happens. So she could be doing all the things in the world, and then this is happening. Now imagine if she wasn't doing those things. It would be fucking 20 times, 100 times worse. So just make sure you speak up, and these things are non-negotiable. You do not have to ask for permission. Okay, if your spouse isn't going to do it, okay, go find a sitter or a nanny or someone close to you that will come do it. And then maybe rethink your relationship, or be like, hey, I'm going to keep doing this, or I'm going to be here until you can get on board with me doing this, because this is important for me. You're going to be able to fully be who you want to be if you're taking care of your mental and physical health. You're not going to be who you want to be if you're not taking care of this stuff. Yeah. That is a guarantee.
That's right.
Let's go to step number 4. Yep. So 4 is stress management matters more than you think. And sleep and stress management matter more than you think. Quality over quantity. If your sleep's messed up, focus on improving your sleep hygiene. Limit your screens. Create a calming bedtime routine. Okay, I understand first part of being a parent, you're not going to get a ton of sleep. Up until that year mark, you're just not. Even after that, some babies are just very colicky and they need attention. So it's like, hey, what could you focus on, before sleep? Could you spend time off of your phone? Could you, do a little, my wife, she goes to YouTube and she turns on like a little meditation thing, and then she'll do her journaling before bed. It's like 10 or 15 minutes, and it's been helping her a lot. It helps her just she focuses on gratitude, she focuses on prayer, and then she does some affirmations, and it helps a lot. It helps her, one, be grateful for the things that we have. It helps put her into an optimistic mindset. If you're not doing these things, your brain is not trained to be happy. It's not. It's trained to protect itself. It's trained to be safe.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. So most of the time, if you're not practicing these things, you're going to be negative all the time. You're going to focus on what's not going right. But you forget that you have a warm, cozy bed to lay in. You forget that you have a car to drive. You forget that, your baby is peacefully sleeping in the crib a room away. You have water to drink. You have literally, all of you have won the lottery. All of you that are listening to this, you've won the lottery. You woke up today. Don't forget all the beautiful things that you do have. I know that you probably want more, but if you just need nothing and you're grateful for what you have, life is pretty beautiful. So quality over quantity. Second point, breath work can reset your nervous system. 5 minutes of deep breathing exercises will reduce stress. No joke. It reduces stress and improves your focus. Sometimes you just might need to go in a room and look like a psychopath and take deep breaths in, insane deep breaths in through your nose and through your mouth. I would go to Wim Hof and look up his style of breathing. Tony Robbins, he does a priming exercise. Tony Robbins has a really awesome priming exercise that makes you feel alive when you're done. Yes, you look fucking very weird doing it, and you might even feel weird because Tony actually he does things with his hands, but it's all about the movement. There's a lot. You see a lot of people that, if anyone knows who Tony Robbins is, you know who Tony Robbins is. Yeah. Tony bounces on a trampoline before he goes on stage. He does breath work before he goes on stage because it helps.
Hypes you up.
Yep, hypes him up. Well, sometimes you might need to go do that. Sometimes you might just be like, hey, I need 5 minutes. Third point, ask for some damn help. Okay? You can't do this all. You can't. I can't run a business on my own. I delegate shit. My wife, I can't run the household. I delegate stuff to my wife. Does certain stuff that I don't do. She does the grocery shopping. She does the majority of the cooking. She does the majority of the cleaning. Do I help out with some of these things? Yes, I do, but I can't do it all. Okay? Communicating needs, will significantly reduce your stress. If you need to get a house cleaner once a month just to have a deep clean in the house, pay the $250 to do it. Okay, it's not a cost. It's a investment for your time. It truly is. Okay, there's other stuff that you can do. You can get pre-made meals delivered to your house. Is it a little bit more expensive? Yes, but you're delegating it. I know you don't always want to cook all the time. I know you're tired. Ask for help. Ask your friends. Ask your family. Ask
and just
yourself.
simplify it. Like drop all this like pioneer woman recipe,
Yes.
like 20 ingredient meals.
Yes. Make it
Because
simple.
I'm new back, tracking and working with you and everything.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous going into my first couple of days because I'm like, man, I'm going to be at this deficit again, and this is just all, my brain's telling me this is so hard, da da da.
Yep.
And then I place my order at the grocery store, and Gianna picks it up for me, and we bring it back, and I realize it's like much cheaper than what I've been spending the past handful of months because I'm just choosing like whole, like a green pepper is like 70 cents or something.
Yes.
Spinach and arugula is like $5. It's
Yeah.
just like all these things that I'm buying. And then I ate like a queen over the weekend. I'm just like, this is so much food, because I understand now and have practice with it, but just keep it simple. Keep it simple. We do not need to be overcomplicating
No.
all
don't.
of this.
No. And
Yeah.
yeah, I like what you said about that. Going to the grocery store, all of you should either get your groceries delivered from Instacart.
Exactly.
Just pay the yearly fee.
Yeah.
Who gives
Be
a
done
shit?
with it.
$100. Okay.
Yeah. We
You
don't
don't-
need to be in the store buying stuff we don't need.
No. You waste so much time doing that. It's like and your husband might be like, what the fuck? You don't need to pay for that. No, I do actually, because it saves me 3 hours of my day that I don't ever get back. You got to think you're shopping once a week. And honestly, it's probably even longer. It's probably 3 to 4 hours by the time you write a list, you go for it. You can't just shop at one store for everything. You got to go to at least, you got to go to Costco. You got to go to Walmart. You got to go to, maybe you got to go to Sprouts or whatever, because there's certain things that stores don't have. So put in a grocery order and pick it up, or have it delivered to your house. It's serious.
That's it.
Parent hack.
Life changer. Order
Oh,
the
yeah.
same things over and over. Make the same meals over and over. You will thank yourself in the long run. All right, number
100%.
5. Where are we at?
All right. 5 and final item. Okay. This is what we talked about in the beginning. Stop trying to bounce back. Okay. You can't bounce back to the old person. Okay. We got to build a stronger you. Okay. Your body has been through a significant transformation.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay. It's not about getting your old body back, but rebuilding the strength in a way that supports your new life. Okay. You're not going to be like what you were when you were 30. Okay. Now, my wife is in better shape than she was before her pregnancy, but that wasn't her goal. Her goal was just like, hey, I want to lose the baby weight. I want to get to a different version of myself. And look she surprised herself, and she's in great shape, and she still wants more, So that's why she's not putting her value on the number on a scale. So you got to do things that are going to support the future version of yourself. If you have this version, hey, I just want to be comfortable in a swimsuit again. I don't want to hide in my clothes, and I don't want my gut to hang over my pants. Okay, cool. So what do we got to do? Well, we got to track our macros. We got to move our body a little bit more, and we have to strength train, because strength training is very important, and muscle is very important. I'm going to start doing those things. I'm going to do it for 30 days. I'm going to see what my results are. Okay, cool. I don't expect any results. Don't expect outcomes. I just want you to do it to make yourself feel better in the moment. The less that you expect and the less outcomes that you are just trying to get to, the faster you're actually going to get there. You will actually hold yourself back if you focus on getting these quick results or like wanting the actual outcome. So, second thing, healing takes time. Your core and your pelvic floor recovery are just as important as fat loss. Okay. I have a couple moms that I work with, and they do pelvic strengthening workouts literally 3 to 4 times a week. Rushing this process can lead to long-term issues. Don't rush this. I'm going to say this might piss some people off, but Ozempic for fat loss is rushing a fat loss process and will lead to long-term issues. It can. Now, some people might have taken it and you might not have issues or have not had issues. I'm not talking to you. I'm just saying there are symptoms to doing this stuff and rushing shit. You don't need to rush this. This is not a sprint. This is a long-term marathon. This is a marathon you will run forever. Okay? Some of you are like, I don't like marathons. I don't fucking either. But guess what? You got to keep showing up. You know, I said this yesterday in one of my posts. When you want your parents to look at, or when you want your kids to look at you, will they think of strength or weakness? That's who you need to be every day. Strong every single day. So just remember, healing takes time. And my third and final point on this, shift from aesthetics to performance goals. Okay. I know you want to look good, and I know you want to like look amazing. Okay. And I know you want to look like the influencers that you see on social media that literally talk about looking great after having a baby, and they've never had a baby. Okay. Don't listen to them. Okay. Instead of focusing on weight, focus on lifting heavier. This is why you need to track things, because if you don't track things, you won't know if you're getting stronger. And when you track these things in the Strong app, like I mentioned in the beginning, you can see every single week what you lifted the previous week, and you can focus on progressive overload and being like, hey, I'm going to increase my weights by 2.5, 5, or 10 pounds this week. And then you know that you're getting stronger. And if you're getting stronger and you're actually building muscle, you're going to have more energy. The more muscle you have, the more energy you're going to have. Those are my last 3 topics on stop trying to bounce back, build a new, stronger you. I think honestly, obviously all of them are very, very important, but this is very, very important because we can't get back to our old selves. We can't. You're building a new version of yourself. And honestly, some of the versions that most people have now, they need to die because they went into a pregnancy with not the greatest habits. And you might have seen your body throughout this pregnancy and be like, wow, I need to get my shit together because I know that my habits aren't great. They haven't been. So what can I do? You just start new every single day.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. And when you start to see the progress and it just keeps lifting you up, and you see your momentum and you're proud of yourself and you want to keep going, and the whole time you're setting this example for your children. They're seeing you going to the gym. They're seeing you focusing on eating healthier. They're seeing your mood changing. You know what I mean? They're seeing you wanting to do things outside and being active, So it's just that legacy aspect of it too, which is a huge part of what keeps me going, so.
Absolutely. And just to finalize that, you are 100% right. Your children watch you every single day. They watch what you eat. They watch how you talk to yourself. They watch that, oh, my mom's going to the gym. My mom's going for a walk. My mom's active. My mom's playing with me. My mom's present with me. These things are very important. Or if you're on your couch all the time or on your phone all the time, that's what they're going to see as well.
Right.
And when your kid is crying and your kids want your attention and they need your presence, and you're getting pissed off because you're just sick of hearing your kid all day cry and want something from you, they're going to feed off of that energy.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing what you see these days when it comes to parents and children and how they act and how they respond to certain things, their habits, their manners. It all starts with you.
Yeah, and I'll share this with you before we sign off too. Just how you decompress and handle hard things too. And it was so funny the other night. I have like a desk here. I have one over here. And that I work from, and I record from here, and then this is our sauna. And I'm sitting here at my desk the other night, and my daughter comes in and she's like, Mommy, I just want to be away from the boys for a little bit. Can I get in the sauna? And that's what I do. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going in the sauna, and I'm just flat out about it. I'm like, do not bother me for 20 minutes, unless it's an emergency. This is where I'm going to be. So I turn it on to 80 degrees for her and turn it on the lights that she likes and stuff. And I happen to turn around and I posted it on my Instagram story, and she's laying back reading a book. She's 7.
That's awesome. She gets it.
I'm like, tell me this is my daughter without telling me this is my daughter. Yeah.
100%. She understands it.
Yeah. You got it, girl.
Leave the hell alone. That's so funny.
So funny.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
And it's clearly
it was a proud mom moment because I was like, you know what? You take your time, girl.
Well, and she's seen you do this. She doesn't Like,
Yeah.
she's seen you do this, you know? So it's just
Yeah.
like, she's like, and she probably asked, why, has she asked you why you do that?
Well, I think I make it abundantly clear why I
Yeah.
do it.
Like, don't
I'm
bother
like,
me.
mommy needs her quiet time. I'm going
Yes.
to have my quiet time,
Yes.
So,
That's awesome. I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
good. Well,
Well, this
thank you
was,
so much, Jeff. This is
oh my God,
awesome.
absolutely. This was a great episode today. This was
Yeah.
a lot of fun. I haven't done a lot of talks, just talking to new moms,
Yeah.
So this was fun.
Yeah, it's great. And I'll be posting all of your details in the show notes. So
Perfect. I love that.
thank you guys for tuning in. And
Yes.
thanks, Jeff, for being here. We'll see you in the
Yes.
next episode.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Beck. This was,
Yeah.
like always, it's
Yeah,
a wonderful
great.
podcast. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, guys.